Yeah, that's much better. It's brighter.
It is. I can't see anything. I'm blinded.
Blinded by the light.
Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Jane.
And we're SpielMill.
We are indeed.
We are in our second video in a series of 10, counting down our top 100 board games in 2023.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
We're really enjoying this. This is so fun. We did this in 2020, and we're able to compare and see how our results differ over 3 years of playing a bunch of new games. How many of those new games broke into the top 100? And we've been saying this. I said 40 last time. It's actually 42. I went back and recounted, and I missed a couple, so it's 42.
And I have 45, maybe 46, because my games that went up, games that went down, and new games only add up to 98. So, and I know one stayed the same, but only one stayed the same. So I'm missing one somewhere.
Okay.
So, yeah, with that, without any further ado, let's jump into it and start with our 90 to 81. So my number 90 is a new game to the list, and it's new to us. We've only played it a few times, and it's going to go one way or the other, I'm pretty sure. And that game is Flamecraft, designed by Manny Vega. The artist is Sandra Tang, and it's from Cardboard Alchemy. And so this is a sort of a worker placement game. You've got a tableau, a shared tableau of shops in the street that you actually continue to build throughout the game, and you're sending the cutest little dragons to those shops to collect resources and you know, do things at the shop that will help you get points to end to win the game. This game has been super in everybody's videos, I think, of the best games of 2022. It was one that really kind of took the gaming world by storm. We just got it from Kickstarter towards the end of 2022, and we've only played it a few times, but it is really, really adorable and fun. I think the art carries a lot of it. It feels really thematic. And so I'm anxious to get some more plays in and see which way this is going to go, because we don't have enough for me to get really a feel for how it's going to live with us for a long time. But I was super taken with it when we did play it. So that is my number 90, Flamecraft.
All right, good choice. Okay, well, my number 90 is a repeat on this list, but it did drop like a lead balloon. 60 spots.
Oh my goodness.
Not my biggest dropper. My biggest dropper is coming up though.
Okay.
And I questioned my biggest dropper, but I'll get to that in a second. I don't know why it dropped so much. I think Pub Meeple did that. But anyway, this game is gorgeous at my number 90, and it's beautiful. It's lovely. It's such a beautiful theme. It is fantastic in that regard. I think we just haven't played it. Therefore, I just don't remember it as well enough to keep it up there. And that
on the
is
edge of my seat.
Oceans.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And this has a bunch of designers. So let me get this right. Nick Bentley, Dominic Carpuches, Ben Goldman, and Brian O'Neill. And then the studio's North Star Game Studio is the publisher. So this game is phenomenal. And like I said, we haven't played it in a while, but you have pools of fish, and you got different kinds of sea life, and different sea life will eat the fish, and some of it will, I believe, eat seaweed and stuff like that. But it's based on the series of games Evolution, and so you're just trying to build up different species and get the most points. So.
Yeah, that's a really good choice. I do really love this game. It actually didn't make my list, and I think that's just a function of the fact that, like you said, we haven't played it in a long time. Yeah. And so I'm seeing that impact across my list, is that 2-year chunk where we really were not able to get games to the table. It's interesting what happened, what went up and what went down, or disappeared off the list.
And our shelf of opportunity went. So, but yeah, so Oceans is a lovely game in many respects. including aesthetically. So that's my number 90.
My number 89 is also a new game on the list and new to us. And again, this is just a measure of how long 2020 was ago, because when I looked at it and realized it wasn't on my last list, I had to stop and calculate and realize, okay, yeah, we actually played this after we did our last list. And that is Lockup, a role player tale. This is one that we played online at the Dice Tower BGG online convention in, I think, June of 2020, and immediately bought it. We loved it so much. It is set in the, it's a worker allocation game set in the universe of role player and cartographers. So you're going to face goblin attacks and kobold attacks and bugbears and all sorts of things. But this is kind of a neat game where you're in a prison. I forget the exact theme of it. You're either break out or you're released to roam the yard for a day or something like that. And each round you're trying to minimize the amount of suspicion that the guards have of you and your crew, while you are building up your presence in each location. And at the end of the round, you sort of measure who has the most presence in a location, and that person gets the most reputation and gets extra resources and things like that. So you're kind of trying to anticipate what your opponent is going to do. And like, you know, that one location, the sewer, for example, is like a really good location this turn, but your opponent's going to go for it too. So maybe you want to go for the second best location because you think that's going to be all yours and you're going to be able to really maximize that. So this is just a lot of fun to play. So I really like this game. It is by Stan Kordonsky and Thunderwork Games, and art by Lucas Ribeiro and Jay Ariosa. And it's a good looking game too. I mean, I won't call it pretty because you've got goblins and monsters and things like that, but it's very colorful and vibrant and really, thematic.
Yeah, no, that's accurate.
All right, great. What's your number? 89.
My 89 this is a real surprise, and you're going to be upset about this drop. It dropped 72 spots. It shouldn't have, I don't think. And I think Pub Meeple, and then I didn't do enough manual correction to put this, I think, probably where it belongs, is my take. Because I really love this game, and we haven't played it in a while, that's true, and that's Eldritch Horror.
What? That's effed up. Get out.
Eldritch Horror is designed by Corey Kaniska and Nikki Valance, and it's from Fantasy Flight Games. And God, this game is great. A great cooperative game. You're trying to close the interdimensional gates, move around the board, close the gates, stop the cultists, stop the monsters, kill them, whatever you need to do. Send them back through the portals, whatever you can do. You play different characters, and hopefully you don't die. But if you do die, you can go right back in the game as a new character.
Which I love.
So it's not player elimination, which is good. And I really enjoy this one. It's a really good one. It's long.
Yeah.
But long in a good way. It feels very thematic and immersive, and, those things that I like. I'm really big on theme and immersiveness in my games, and so sometimes I like length, and this is one of those games where I like length.
Yeah, absolutely. So. This is such a good game. I will probably talk more about this later in a more appropriate spot.
Yeah, as I said, I think it should be higher. It's hard. There's a lot of good games too, so there's a factor there too.
Yeah. Pub Meeple really did me dirty on a couple of these too. I had to change them up and put them.
I thought I did change everything up, but this one was there, and I'm like,
yeah, definitely not right.
So but this is my biggest dropper, 72 spots. So 89 is Eldritch Horror.
Okay. My number 88 was on my list last time, and it has dropped, but it's only dropped 9, so it's kind of in the same universe. And considering the game, it's actually it says something about it. So it's Manara. from Oliver Richtberg and Dice Tree Games. And this is a dexterity game that we play with, or we have played a lot with groups of people. So we obviously, I don't think have played this once since 2020. Maybe, but I don't think so. So the fact that it has stayed on my list as high as it is really says something about this. You've got different colored cylinders that you're drafting every turn, and then you're have to place them according to the tiles that come up that tell you, you've got to place 2 green and a red or something like that. And so you are trying to build up the structure, and it gets pretty wacky, and you're trying not to knock it over. And of course, at some point, the whole thing falls, and it is just so much fun. We have had really great experiences playing this, both just as the 2 of us and with a group. And it's hard for us to get to the table because of your illness. It's really hard to play games like this. They take a little more energy, but it still remains, in my top 100 because it is such a good game.
It's a good game. Wasn't this on my list last week?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Okay, yeah. So I think this is our first crossover.
Oh, you're right.
I may be wrong, but I think it is. So Minar.
Ooh.
Good choice. Whoop! Whoa! Whoa! We had fun. Fun was had.
Fun was had.
So, my number 88 is okay. So the rest of this 10, 81 to 90, the rest of this 10 is all new games to my list. All new games.
Okay.
And I looked at my stats, and the 70s and 80s are tied for the most new games. So there's quite a few new games. And I think there's some of that's just a byproduct of maybe when I was moving new games in, they kind of fell in a couple places. And the 70s and 80s were one of those places. So my number 88 is a new game to us that we played for the first time, I believe in December. Seasonally appropriate, because it's winter, and it's Nouvelle France.
Oh, yes.
And this is a abstract-ish block placement game. You're placing blocks, sort of completing architectural structures, and then depending on, the blocks are colored, and you're trying to, for each player has their own color, and you're trying to get your blocks to score as many points as possible based on orthogonal adjacency, but 3-dimensionally. And it's, first of all, it's gorgeous. It's got this 3-dimensional presence. It's also got these cool snowbanks. So after you put the first layer of blocks down on a building, and you're working on the second and third layers, a snowbank then comes in, and you no longer score that first layer, and it's blocked by the snowbank. And it looks amazing because it's like you're having nice deep snows, and it's so cool that way. But also just in general, it's just a pretty cool abstract kind of scoring game where you're trying to score those points, and you're trying to do the best block placement to get the best points and to set yourself up to get more points while not setting up your opponent. So it's really tricky that way, and it's a really fun game. The designer is Jacques-Dominique Landry, and the publisher is Jack Bro Playful Creation. We have a couple Jack Bro games. I really like their game Vikingar as well. But this one's higher on my list.
Yeah, I think that 3-dimensional aspect of it makes it a really interesting puzzle, because I know this happened the last time we played, where I had this really good section going, and then it snowed and it was worthless. And I'd gotten points for it, but I kind of hadn't anticipated exactly how much of that was going to disappear in the snow. And you've got to really kind of be cognizant of that and plan.
Well, you got to have a good plow person,
Yeah.
There's no plowing in the game. Just in case anyone's confused. But it's a pretty cool game, so I really like it.
Yeah, I really like it too. Great choice.
Yep, that's my 88. 88, 89, 88. Nouvelle France.
My number 87 is a holdover from last time. It has dropped. It dropped 30 actually. It's a pretty big drop. It was 57 last time, and now it's 87, and that's Queen Domino, from Bruno Catala and Blue Orange Games. And this is kind of a stand-in for all of the Queen King Domino games. Queen is my favorite. But they're really, I really enjoy that type of game where you're drafting tiles, love drafting, then you're creating, you're laying your tiles out in your own sort of tableau or your own area, and you're trying to create contiguous blocks of different types of terrain, and then you score based on how many types of, how many blocks of that terrain you have together with a number of like crowns or scoring conditions. And Queen Domino as a really fun element, there's a lot more to it, but what I really like about Queen Domino is the building pieces. And so you can buy buildings and build them in your area, and they give you extra scoring conditions, and you can either get more resources, they can add to your income, which helps you buy buildings, or they can be point scorers at the end of the game, or they can just add more crowns to make that area more valuable. And I really love the extra that this adds to King Domino. I really enjoy King Domino, and any time you can take a game that I like and add extra to it and make it more, I love it. So that is why Queen Domino is my number 87.
Now, my 87 is, I'm surprised this wasn't on my list before, because I would have sworn it was played by then, but I'll check here in a moment. But this is a really fun worker placement legacy game called Charterstone.
Oh, I'm surprised too. It was played because it was on my list last time. It was actually really high on my list.
It was on your list last time?
It was very high on my list.
Apparently it was on my list. Yeah, we played it in 2019. So why it wasn't on my list, I don't know. But in this case,
I'm surprised, yeah.
A second review through my games played, and this thing's back on the list. So you see how this happens.
Yes.
There's so many games that we play. So I guess it's easy to miss a game, or maybe I don't remember my logic, but maybe I was excluding it because it was a legacy game.
Yeah, I think actually I remember this because I had it very high on my list. I think mine was in the like 20, top 20. And I think you had excluded it because we had finished playing through and it was done. And so because it was sort of a 20 game and out a game, you had
Logic schmogic.
Yeah.
I don't know who that person was.
There are no rules.
So anyway, Charterstone, I can't say too much about the gameplay because it is a legacy game and it would spoil certain elements, but it is worker placement, and the rules change as you play more and more games, and you unlock different things, stickers that you put on the board, and you end up with a whole new board at the end of the campaign. Really fun. I'd really wouldn't mind going through this again someday.
Yeah, I would too. I'd love it.
I think it'd be really fun. We had a lot of fun with it the first time, and it's been now 4 years. So
yeah. So I just looked. It was my 17 last time, and it's my 109 this time. So it didn't quite make the list, which now I feel bad about because I want to tell anybody that watches this that you should get and play Charterstone if you don't have it and haven't played it. And I mean, it really is that good. It is one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time.
Well, anyway, a lot of people probably know this, but some don't probably, and that is Jamie Stegmaier is the designer. It's from Stonemaier Games. Linda Cassette and David Forrest are the artists, and this is it's a great game. It's a good, reasonable price too, I believe, and so it's a good legacy game. That's not all legacy games are reasonably priced, so that's a factor. All the extra components and everything cost money, but I really enjoyed this one. So my number 87, Charterstone.
I just want to say a little bit more about it since it's not on my list and I don't get to talk about it, which was a mistake. So it's really cool. You get to name your characters and you get to name your town. And so we had a lot of fun with that. You have your own portion of the board, which is your town. And you're building buildings and things in there that can get you stuff. And so you're putting stickers on the board and you're putting them on your side of the board. And that's really fun because it means that you're each building out your own area of the board just as you like it. Now, we used each other's sides, but you've got your own area, which is it's really cool. I really, really loved Charterstone. That was a great experience, and I'm an idiot for not putting it on.
Well, that's something I didn't figure out, is how many of these games I played before we did the list in 2020. I wonder if there's any others that'll pop in. We'll see as we go.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
So my 86 is new to the list, and very much like you, I thought, I played this before we did our list, and we did. I just looked, and we played it in 2017, but then we did not play it again until February of 2020, which is kind of after we did our list or while we were doing our list. So it didn't make it, and it would have otherwise, because this is Forged in Steel, which is
historical.
Yep. Historical, of course. I believe we backed it as a Kickstarter. It is a card-driven city building game. It's super historical, as Jayne said. It's Pueblo, Colorado during the 1890s, and you're playing like a prominent family. You're working to build up the town, and you can do things like build factories or claim factories. You build houses and parks and mansions and, all sorts of variety of things. But the mechanism that I love that makes it so exciting is immigration. So the number of immigrants that are going to come to the town is based on how many commercial buildings and how many factories you have in the town. And so, because that's the draw, that's what's bringing people in, right? Is the opportunity to work. So it's going to be in direct proportion to that. Then those folks are going to need homes, and you're going to have to build them homes on lots that you have claimed. If you cannot build homes for the immigrants, guess what happens? It creates unrest. And what happens if you get too much unrest? You get a riot on your hand, a bread riot, basically. I love that. I love that. Between that and like the pictures on the cards that are real pictures from Pueblo, Colorado in the 1890s and 1900s, this game is just so filled with theme. And I really love this game. I think it's so good.
And we're in Pittsburgh, which has a similar sort of congruent history with Pueblo. So it's very interesting from that perspective too. So it reminds me a lot of our local history.
Absolutely. I was a little disappointed it was in Colorado. I was like, what do you mean? Why isn't this set in Pittsburgh? But it's a great game. And
I think this is the same people who did King's Abbey.
Oh, okay. Cyril.
I could be wrong.
Bouquet.
The same publisher, I mean.
Publisher is Nightworks, and the artist is Jayne.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh, cool. Well, that's on our 5x5
I could be wrong,
for March.
but
so.
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll be playing that shortly.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
All right, that's my 86.
All right. My 86 is a relatively new game to us. We played it first online. I think Gen Con or Origins Online, one of the two. It's a cooperative game, and it's called Rescuing Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoyed this cooperative game. It's, first of all, it's a super affordable cooperative game. I didn't double check to see if it's still available, but I'm sure it is. It's the publisher Castillo Games has some other games that are coming out, so I know that they're still actively doing their thing. The designer is Bryce Brown, and the artist was Paul Vermeesh. But it's pretty cool. You get these lines of enemies you have to overcome to complete different tasks, like free the maiden. What's her name?
Marion.
Thank you. I blanked.
Yeah.
So, and you get to play the different Robin Hood characters, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Deck building
kind of, and sort of a weird deck building. You play cards to defeat the different opponents in a line. You have to strategically decide, do I go to this line? Do I go to this line? You know what I mean? When to use your different abilities. It's really good. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I like cooperative games a lot, so that helps too. But this one really worked for me. So my 86 is Rescuing Robin Hood from Castillo Games.
Excellent choice, dear. I really loved the experience too of just sort of play testing online. We played, as you said, during BGG online, and then again during Gen Con, and then we finally got it as a Kickstarter, and it's just kind of neat to be part of that process from you know, the beginning, not the beginning, probably very close to the end,
Right,
through to
right.
the finish. But that was a really fun experience. So great choice. My 85 is also a cooperative game,
Oh,
and it is Burgle Brothers.
oh, good one.
It has dropped precipitously. It was 22 in 2020, and now it is 85. But again, a function of just we haven't
Yeah.
played it.
Yeah.
But it's a really neat game from Tim Fowers and Fowers Games, where you are burglars and you are, I think, trying to crack a safe and then escape from the helicopter pad on the roof. And so you've got 3 stories. There actually is, on the new version, there's you build it up so you have 3 actual stories, but we played it without it originally, and it was just fine. And you've got 3 stories that are made up from a group of, I think, maybe 9 cards, or 12 cards, 16 cards, something like that.
I think it's 4x4, but
yeah, I think you're right. I think it's 16 cards, but it's variable. So you're shuffling the cards and then you're laying them out and you turn them over as you approach them, so you don't really know what's going to be there. The wall setup is different every time. You use little sticks basically to make your wall setup, so you can, the movement is going to be different. It's highly variable. It's really tough. Not the first time, but the time like I really remember playing it that like solidified its place on my heart. We played through just unintentionally like 9 times because we couldn't beat it, and we played through. We just didn't want to play anything else. We just wanted to beat freaking Burgle Brothers, and it took us like a week or a couple days at least, and 9 plays, and we finally beat it. And that to me is like what I love about a good cooperative game.
was it
Love that
9
experience.
plays? I think we beat it a couple times, but we were upping the ante.
I don't know.
I think so.
Maybe my memory is that it took us 9
could be
plays to
wrong.
beat it.
Okay.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. We both just have really fond memories of this game. But I love that in a game where you just want to go again. You know, you just want to go again. I didn't win. We got to go again. Or I won, but that was easy. Let's make it harder. I really love that, and cooperative games bring that out in us. I think we just really enjoy them. And so that is my number 85, Burgle Brothers.
Well, my 85 is not a cooperative game. It is definitely competitive. It's very, I guess it's midweight Euro. It's pretty new to us. It's the rule book I didn't like, but the game is good and the gameplay is great, and it's super spooky, and it's called Monsters on Board.
Oh yeah.
So this is a game from Final Frontier Games. Alexander Mikic, Ivo Neskovic, and Samuel Petruski. And I'm sorry for what I did to your names. The artist is Mihailo Dimitrievsky. Okay, that was tough. So this is a pretty cool game. The whole theme is kind of weird. You're having a big monster party coming up, and you're the monsters, and you need to get some spook juice for the party. So you're going around the neighborhood scaring kids and stuff. So that's what you're doing. And there's like a puzzle going on with dice placement on the bottom left of your board. You're moving through a neighborhood on the right. You got little dice manipulation going on up top. So there's a few things going on there. It's really interesting, very puzzly, and very fun. So what can I say? It's a good game. Monsters on Board.
Yeah, it really is a good game. There's a lot going on. It's very cute, and I think it looks like it might be a light family weight game, and there is a family weight version of it, but we didn't play that, of course. And it was so much more than I thought it was going to be. It was really crunchy, and I really enjoyed it. The track that you go through the neighborhood is sort of a ratchet track, but you also have multiple different minions going through. So just because one passes something doesn't mean the next one can't use it, but still you have to have them in the right location at the right time.
Yeah, you could have different things, like you could put these minions in spots to help your monsters move faster, because if you get to the end you get points.
Yeah.
If you get to the end of the track. So
yeah, I meant your monsters are your minions, but you're right, there's actual minions.
There's actual minions.
Yeah, so that's
not to be confused with the monsters who are monsters.
Yeah. Yes, this is a great game. I really enjoy this. I don't think it made my list, but At this point, it's the Wild West. Who knows what made it and what didn't.
Anyway, that's a good one. 85. Monsters on Board.
Well, my 84 is both competitive and cooperative. What? It is CO2 from Vidal Lacerda. And it's from, I think, either GeoChicks or Stronghold. I don't know which version we have.
We have the GeoChicks.
Okay. Art by Ian O'Toole. So, of course, it's a lovely game. It is a worker placement game, but like all Lacerda games, it is way more complicated than just a worker placement game. There's tracks and there's other things you can do.
But it's not, it's one of his least complicated.
It is one of his least complicated.
Of his heavy games.
Yeah.
Not the discounting like Mercado de Lisboa.
Yeah. It's got a really cool circular board, and that it represents energy production in the various parts of the world, the different continents. And each region starts with a certain number of carbon emission like permits, these cubes that represent their allowable amount of carbon emissions they can produce. And so you're trying to come up with green energy solutions so that you don't produce more carbon than you are like allowed to produce, and therefore get sort of a negative on you. So first of all, I love the theme. It is a great way to really understand the collective impact of energy production and resource usage. And then of course it's a Vidal Lacerda. I mean, does the man make a bad game? Certainly not as complex games. They're all amazing. So that is my number 84.
It's a good choice.
And it is new to my list, but we had not played it when we did our list last time.
Well, another one new to my list. Of course, I'm on a run of new to my list. So this one is also a spooky game, or a spooky season game. And this one's about witches. It's called Whirling Witchcraft. And this is a cool game where you're trying to make these potions in a way that produces these cubes that you're setting to your opponent, and you're trying to overwhelm them with cubes. And if they get too many cubes, then they lose, basically. You can't, and that's kind of it. You're doing that over and over and over again. It's got these cool 3-dimensional cauldrons that you put the cubes in and you pass them to your opponent. And those are really effective at adding to the theme and the experience. And this is just a great, it's a great spooky season game. I mean, it really, really works so well. And I really enjoyed it. It's not complex really at all. It's pretty cool. The designer is Eric Anderson Sundin. The artist is Luis Francisco and Weberson Santiago. And the publisher is Alderac Entertainment Group. So,
yeah, this is a great game for sharing with your non-gamer friends too. I think it's really accessible, but it has enough of a game to it for gamers as well. We have not, just by virtue of our limitations in our life, actually played this with anybody else yet, but that was one of our thoughts as we were playing it. Like, this is a game. Exactly. That is exactly right. This is a game that we could play with our friends, because we are always on the lookout for a game that we enjoy, that we can get our friends who maybe aren't gamers, but like to play games. They're just not gamers, that they can play with us so that we can all sort of enjoy the experience. And I think this is one that we thought really fit that bill.
Yep.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll try it out next year. We're mingling more. So, yep. That's my 84, Whirling Witchcraft.
So my number 83 is a repeat game. It is down 35 from our last time. It was 48. I can add on the fly. It was 48 last time. And that is Forbidden Desert from Matt Leacock. And this is from Game Right. This is it's a Matt Leacock game. It's a cooperative Matt Leacock game. I really enjoy this. I think this is my favorite of the Forbidden games, although he's got a new one coming out that I'm actually really excited about, Forbidden Forest or Jungle, I think. Yeah. Where you've just got tiles that you put out in a grid, and you are trying to turn them over, unearth them. In this case, you're digging in the sand and you're looking for parts of your airship so that you can get out of there in time. And as the game goes on, of course, there's a mechanism that makes it really difficult because the sandstorms come through and bury things, and you can end up losing the game in the matter of, 2 turns if you're really unlucky. So I really love the experience of playing this game. I think this might be my first cooperative game we played together.
It might be because I use it to introduce people to cooperative games a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's very simple to teach.
Yeah. And this is one that I've given to our CEO of my company, actually. I recommended it, and I know her and her family love it. So this is a game that is great to introduce people to cooperative games, and people that don't necessarily game, they can play this. But I will play this any day with you and I, with other gamers. This is just a really fun game.
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging too. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can adjust the difficulty level as well.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So that is Forbidden Desert, my number 83.
All right. My 83 is the second crossover in this 100. And that is Flamecraft.
Woo!
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Do our fist bump.
Anyway, so we have Flamecraft is a cool, cute game about dragons doing domestic things. And it's worker placement. You have these shops in a row with dragons work at, and you can place your workers in the different shops, and then you can do one of 2 actions. And one sort of builds the engine in that shop, and the other one takes advantage of the engine in that shop. And so that's kind of how it works, and it's really fun. It's really simple, but it works. It has some strategic depth. This is about where it belongs, I think. This is one game where I'm not going to say it belongs super high, much higher, because I think there's a limit to the strategic depth.
Yeah.
But I think it belongs in the top 100, but it does 83 we're at.
Yes. Seems about right.
It's about right. So yeah, I mean, this is from Cardboard Alchemy, as you said. Manny Vega is the designer, and Sandara Tang is the artist. Yep. Very beautiful art.
So beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is one of the prettiest games. I mean, there's a long list of prettiest games, but this is in that. If we did top 100 prettiest games, this would be in there, and probably higher than it is.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. My 83, Flamecraft. You already spoke about it, so.
Yeah. My number 82 is down 61, and I don't know. I feel like it should be higher. I don't know. I always second guess myself. And that is Ticket to Ride Europe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it belongs. It's one of those games that I love this game. I will play it anytime you ask. We can get it on the table in 5 seconds and play. We have 10 maps at least. Like
another crossover.
Yep, crossover. Woo!
Well, right. I'd use Ticket to Ride basic game, but Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
It's the crossover.
I don't like the basic as much. I just have we had a bad experience with it. I had a bad experience. You were probably happy as a clam, but.
It actually stole her.
Stole my lunch money. No, we played it with like 6 people, including some of our rather cutthroat friends who kept cutting off my route, and I hated it. We are much nicer to each other, but we have maybe 10 maps on this. We talked about it last time. It is such a solid, I'm trying to think of the right metaphor for it or word for it, but this is an everyday game. This is a game that will always be in my collection, and it will probably always be in my top 100. And so that's why I kind of feel like it's too low at whatever, 82. That feels really low for it. But at the same time, there are other games that are spectacular, that are, for whatever reason, really exciting to play. And I may not want to play those as many times in a row as I want to play Ticket to Ride, but they still capture my imagination more, and the experience is just a little bit more exciting and satisfying.
We still get the most out of Ticket to Ride. We have the different deluxe trains, and
Yep.
we even have train whistles floating around.
Right.
We get the most out of it. It's a train game, and it's a fun one. I mean, it's we had a really fun. We picked a weekend. Sometime in the last 6 months, we picked a weekend and played through like every Ticket to Ride map that we had at least once.
Well, we missed 2.
We missed 2.
Yeah, we didn't get Markland, and I forget what the other one. We didn't miss 3 because we didn't do Pennsylvania, and
we did do Pennsylvania. Well, we didn't do Pennsylvania on purpose. Actually, we did UK. We did that map.
Oh, I love UK, and that was my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 82. Ticket to Ride. Love it. It's a staple. It's a kitchen staple. That's what I was trying to say. You know, it may not be a gourmet meal, but it's mac and cheese. You know, you'll eat it anytime, and it's super satisfying.
Yep. All right. So my 82 is interesting. It's my second legacy game in this 10. This one, though, is one I could see getting to the table even quicker, and it's more affordable. It's called My City.
Yeah.
And this one's just really fun. It's Rainer Knizia. Cosmos published it, and Michael Menzel does the art. The art's really nothing too, there's nothing to do art about that's spectacular. Not his fault.
Right.
It's just a very economic and efficient game. And it was fun. We just had a really good time playing through it, and I could see us playing through it again. I was trying to think about why it's higher than Charterstone. I think it's so easy to the table. We still get really fun experience out of it. I think I get a deeper fun experience out of Charterstone, but I think My City has slightly higher replayability.
Yeah, it also it was easier to get to the table as a legacy game the first time through, like you said, and it really worked. It worked for us at the time. So
yeah, most
perfectly.
legacy games are a little work.
Yeah.
And My City's not. It just isn't. It's like no work.
Yeah. And I think what am I trying to say? We are probably the exception to the rule for gamers. I mean, there's a lot of heavy gamers in that we love heavy games. You know, the people that make content, the people that have hundreds and hundreds of games, the people that play so many games. Like, there's many, many more casual gamers out there, right?
Yeah.
And even some of the heavy gamers, life interrupts, you know, if you've got young kids, if you've got a heavy job or travel for work or illnesses.
But heavy games aren't rare. The highest rated games on Board Game Geek are heavy games for a reason. Well, now that's partially because Board Game Geek is the heavier gamers. But
what I'm trying to say is that no matter what you have going on that might get in the way of you fully enjoying games the way you would if you dove head first, or whatever's going on in your life at any given time, My City is the type of legacy game that you can table. We were able to table this when you were like just barely able to sit up.
I would not have been able to play Charterstone at the time, or certainly not Gloomhaven.
Right. No. And this gave us the experience of gave us the legacy experience, that building the experience as you go type of gaming that we could not have gotten otherwise. And so that's what I'm trying to say, is that this is the most accessible, I think, legacy game.
Yeah, I mean, I think another easy one I got to the table, sort of, so to speak, was more the chair, is Legacy of Ada Lovelace, and Ada Lovelace and the Legacy of the something engine.
Yeah.
Analytical engine. But that's obviously
it's a
print,
right?
It's a solo print and play rolling, right? So it's a unique sort of, it's more low scale.
In my mind, this is the game. If you're looking for an introduction into legacy games.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Or you have other barriers keeping you from playing some of the heavier ones, this is where you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is my 82. My City.
Excellent. My 81 was 30 last time, so it dropped 51. And again, we haven't played it. I'm not sure. I don't think we've played it since 2019 probably, but it was good enough that it sort of survived through the long drought to be on my top 100, and that is Lords of Waterdeep. And that is, I mean, it's like the vanilla ice cream of worker placement games, right? It is like the introduction, the just plain old good worker placement game. It is so fun.
We have Skulls of Seaport, the expansion, but we haven't played it yet with Skulls of Seaport.
Yeah, and we should. I'd love it. It's you know, it's from Wizards of the Coast, so it's at least theoretically Dungeons and Dragons themed, but I mean, I'm not sure how thematic it really is, but it is just, it's so neat. You've got the map of Waterdeep, and you're sending your workers out to recruit workers to go out and fight monsters and go on quests, and that's kind of how you end up winning the game. And you're building locations that other people might visit, and you get, you know, points or whatever for them. But it's a solid, good old worker placement game. Yep. It's a kitchen staple. So yeah, that is my number 81, Lords of Waterdeep.
Good choice. My 81 is a game that you're gonna have much, much, much higher. It's Bunny Kingdom.
Oh my God! What? Are you kidding?
It's your favorite, like one of your favorites, not mine.
I know.
But I mean, it's my top 100. It's my 81 game.
No wonder you never want to play with me.
I always want to play with you. I always say yes. Anyway,
I would play this every day.
Me too. I love this game. Anyway, the designer is Richard Garfield. The artist is Paul Mafian. This is from Aiello. And it's just really fun. I mean, I love building out my little bunny army as I look at them, as they take over the board.
So it is so cute. I love this game. And mean, which is okay.
It's a bunny placement game. It's really a card drafting game, and then area control. You know, you're drafting cards, and you're trying to get your bunnies onto the map to create a nice large kingdom, preferably one large kingdom. That's how you really do well in this game, and then trying to produce as many unique resources in that kingdom as possible, and that's how you get points. You multiply the unique resources times the number of cities or castles in that turrets, so to speak, in that kingdom. So it's really fun. And we have the Bunny Kingdom in the Sky expansion, which just gives more to the game that we already love.
Yeah, so. I will be talking more about this so much later. Obviously, but it is a very good game. It is super beautiful, and super cute, and just a good time. I really
it survived the purge.
I'm very bad at it. I'm so bad at this game. I think I have one win against you, maybe.
I don't know. I usually win it.
Yeah, like always. I'll have to look up our stats, but I remember specifically the one game I won. We were at my dad's house. I think you were thrown off by the location, and I won. And I remember because you beat me by hundreds of points sometimes.
I don't know why this just speaks to my skill set. So
and you know what? I don't even care. I still love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Bunnies are amazing.
All
right. So that is our 81 to 90. Woo! We got a couple crossovers in there. That was pretty fun. And I don't know. This list is just getting good.
It sure is. Yeah, I mean, these games are all trash. We'll get good in about 30 games. So
no, everything's good. Everything top 100. Honestly, everything in my top 300. My top 500 is really good.
Yeah, there's easily another 50 that I'm going to sit here and fret that didn't make it into this list. That I'm just like, maybe I should switch them out. But
you can only have one list, and do the best with it as you can. Like I said, I went all the way through Pub Meeple, and then went through and did a bunch of manual massage, and try to refine the list as best I can to make it as accurate as possible. So I'll put a lot of time into this.
Just to tell you though, Pub Meeple put Bunny Kingdom at 120 for me. So that was the moment I knew.
Yeah, but
I had a lot of work to do.
You can't trust Pub Meeple on its own, so.
Yeah, but it's a good starting spot.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's a sketchy meeple is what it is. It's a sketchy meeple.
It is a sketchy meeple.
All right, so We'll look forward to next time. We'll get these out as quickly as we can. It'll take a little bit, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
Doing our top 100.
Let us know in the comments what you think of these games. Are there any that you hate and would never play, or some that you think that we missed? I mean, there's a lot to go, but some that you think should be around our 100 that aren't in there.
Let us know what you think. And remember, every day that you game
is a holiday.
Bye.
Except I couldn't remember anything about it.